So because of the time, we will just go on to the next step.
So for this next section, we have our guided reading. And today our guided reader is going to be someone who I spoke about earlier. So anytime you see someone from a different country coming to the Kaohsiung Jingsi Hall, we have this team who greets and welcomes them. And Brother Jihau here on the slide has actually become the lead of this team. So in 2020, April 25th, Dharma Master Zheng Yin had encouraged folks to encouraged us in this study group to begin oral translation teams. It was in April, and we were saying, okay, let's get this going by June. And so I started contacting leaders all around the world, CEOs from different countries. And I contacted Brother Jihao, and he immediately agreed to lead a team as well. So right then and there, we could see that he's someone who could quickly, who was very willing to take on responsibilities. And so he was involved with these translation efforts ever since the beginning. And at some point, I went to him and said, hey, I think you can do even more now. I think you can start doing guided readings. And so he began to take that on as well. So he's someone who is very skillful. So even as I speak very quickly like I am right now, he's able to translate all of this very well. And I believe when he started translation, he started listening to Jingsi, Dharma Master Zheng Yin's morning teachings. And so he has continued to watch every single day. So let's welcome him to guide today's guided reading. Dharma Master Zheng Yin, Dharma Masters at the Abode, and everyone who's listening in today. My name is Jihao. So today, we're going to be going through the daily journal of Master Zheng Yin, the summer chapter, which covers May 27th to June 2nd. So our minds and our hearts, we can, on one end of the extreme, be very lost, and on the other end of the extreme, be filled with love. When we think of, for example, in Ukraine, as of today, the conflict has caused so many people injury and even death. And you see this little girl right here. She's completely devoid of any happiness. You can see a before and after here of these images. And you can see the destruction that has occurred from the conflict. And this shows how lost and misguided many people have been. And yet, when we see disasters and situations like this, we see that we can give of ourselves and create blessings, and in that way, raise our own wisdom and really learn the essence of a lot of the teachings that we often hear. So there's one example in one morning volunteer assembly. One of the Dharma masters, Master Dodwin, has said that there was a volunteer actually helping to cut the grass in the abode, and they were both cutting the grass, and they put their phone to listen to the teachings of Dharma Master Zheng Yin, and you can see in the photo right there, there was a lizard who actually came by and listened to the teachings as well. And Dharma Master Zheng Yin commented jokingly at the time that, see, you can see the lizard is so focused. And yet we as humans often struggle with having that sort of focus. So let's take a look in Poland. So in Poland, we have a lot of these refugees from Ukraine who had gone there during the conflict. And as our volunteers are helping the Ukrainian refugees, we make sure to treat them with love and respect. So we, for example, guided them in activities like making dumplings and using these dumplings to hold fundraisers to help these same refugees and their families. Let's take a look at this video right here. So we could see that a lot of these folks, refugees from Ukraine, had struggles with language and had struggles with finding work in the region. So they were very, very grateful for this opportunity to gather together with Su Jihau. And actually one of these, I believe one of the veterans here is celebrating his first birthday in this foreign land as well. And so all of these dumplings we were making together with them, about 80% of them will be sold as part of a fundraiser to help their families. So this is our dumpling club, if you will. But of course, we did a lot more than that. As we were helping these refugees, it wasn't just the elderly and the adults, but it was also the children. You can imagine for these little kids, how much trauma it must be at such a young age to have to escape this sort of conflict and disaster in their homelands and go to a foreign land. So let's take a look at another video from June 16, 2022. So this is a end-of-life care center for children or youth in Lublin, in Poland. And this right here is a volunteer who is a translation volunteer who is sharing about the process of these blankets being made from recycled plastic bottles. And the child expresses that she is so grateful. I'll let you listen to this volunteer share. So these Su Jihau volunteers in Poland not only helped these refugees felt love, but you could really see how they were so attentive and considerate of them. So their actions were full of wisdom. Those of us who can give of ourselves are really the ones who are blessed. I remember I had an elementary school teacher who once told me that if in a given day you can make 3 people around you feel happy, then in that day you have been very successful. So we can see here in this photo, there is in Tainan, we have some students who are donating the change that they have. And then we have these other students in the second photo who have held a fundraiser with little arts and crafts that they've made by themselves. And so you could see that each one of them are just like fireflies bringing light into this world. And so really, as we see see a lot of people in the world suffering, that gives rise to compassion in our hearts. And then we take action and create blessings for others, which in turn brings blessings to ourselves. So there's a student here that you could see went to Austria to, I believe, study abroad. And while she was there, she decided, hey, this was during the conflict, and she decided she wanted to go to Poland and help Ukrainian refugees as well. So she actually traveled something like 9 hours plus by car from Austria through the Czech Republic to Poland to help in relief efforts. And so a lot of the times we see these blankets that are made of recycled plastic bottles, it really is filled with the love of our volunteers and taking that which, would have been considered useless, right? These used plastic bottles and making it something very useful, these warm blankets that have helped so many people in their times of greatest need. And so we really can learn to cherish everything around us, all the tangible and the intangible. Because even if it's something that looks simple or perhaps that we would imagine doesn't have much use, it may be filled with all sorts of possibilities, and love can be found in all sorts of things. So Dharma Master Sung Yin shares with us that if we just do the things that we must do every day, the right things every day, then this day is full of value. But if we are always, stuck in our own personal affairs and issues, and for the good deeds that we should be doing, we kind of dabble in here and there, but not really commit ourselves to doing it, then really it is such a shame because there is so much more we could do with our lives. In this photo, you can see this is Lucas, and then brother Lucas and sister Suer. So last year, while we were accompanying Dharma Master Zeng Yin, when they were, I believe, accompanying Dharma Master Zeng Yin in their travels, brother Lucas was saying that he was, sorry. Okay, so brother Lucas was saying, all of these Su Jihau volunteers are coming from Taiwan, this foreign land, and they know none of us here in Ukraine. These are people they never would have met in their lives, yet you bring your love over here. And I'm so touched by that. One day, I want to go to Taiwan and meet each one of you face to face. I believe Lucas must have been someone in Ukraine. And so what we're doing is really bringing Dharma Master Zeng Yin's teachings to life, filling the world with love. Oftentimes when Dharma Master Zeng Yin is sharing, you'll see this digital clock, and on this digital clock, it has this little ant figure. And so she reminds us that we are like ants, and as long as we have the right direction and are committed to this direction, then just like an ant, we have the ability to do so much despite how small we may be, and we can climb even the highest mountains. So let's take a look at this next video. So a volunteer here is sharing about the start of Su Ji, when Su Ji was founded by Dharma Master Zeng Yin at 29 years old, when there was no money, there was no followers and no volunteers, and yet she was able to do so much by sticking to the right direction that she knew she had, and taking each step every day. So these volunteers are sharing how when they first came to Poland, they felt like they didn't know what to do. There was nothing they could contribute, and yet with Su Ji's help and guidance, they finally started to learn that each one of them had the ability to contribute in positive ways, and they started to feel more meaning in their lives as well. And this other volunteer is sharing that she was I believe, social worker, and so she felt that finding Su Ji, it was like just it was a match made in heaven. So let us turn our little love into great love and fill the world with love. Thank you so much for listening today. So earlier, we listened to how there was a student, Sister Xingwen, who's actually not in Taiwan right now, who, despite being in a foreign country, she will still be part of our oral translation team and is even inviting other people to join us as well. And I believe it may be the same volunteer who's helping us to connect with other translation and interpretation volunteers of different languages, let's say German, for example. And the same volunteer, I believe, also mentioned or found that there were people who wanted to donate resources to folks in need. And so Sister Mei Yun then helped to connect her to other volunteers who could help make this a reality. Earlier, we also saw Sister Suler and Brother Lucas, who, if I heard correctly, may be coming to share with us at some point in the future. It sounds like there's another volunteer who perhaps is not originally from Taiwan, but perhaps learned Mandarin and speaks it very well and wanted to have an opportunity to come share at the study group. But currently the study group schedule is packed. So Sister May Yun is saying she's going to try to find a way to hopefully rearrange schedules so that that volunteer can share as well. Sister Kai Ling, I think. And so we're hearing a couple of different comments that people are leaving online. Some folks praising Brother Jihau for being as such a young volunteer, taking on so much and such important duties. So more praising comments about both how he presented, but also his presentation, how it was very concise.